Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to another Reviews Corp podcast. This is episode 46. I'm your host, Red Devilos Reviews, and Unity is still not available, but that's all right. But we're holding down the fort with Operation Bagel once again. What's up, Operation?
Hello. Safe from homelessness once more. When I get pulled, when I asked to be up here.
Oh yeah. Um. So, you know, I know we had like a conversation about talking about Joker Folie à Deux, but honestly, I kind of just want to save that for another time because there's been a lot of discourse about that movie overall,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you could
I
say people have had some thoughts.
yeah, I still don't really know how I feel about it because I don't think I really am strong on the side of where people are like completely on, or at least I don't like the movie either, by the way, but I still feel like there are some discussions like that could be had that aren't being had, but I kind of need to think about it more. But maybe when the film comes out again on digital, I'd probably check it again and see what my true feelings are. I'd have to wait for that. I did only watch it once, to be fair.
Yeah, it's not really something like I think I want to revisit.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that
even
too.
though, even though I didn't find it quite as bad as what everyone else is saying. Um, it's just, yeah, it's whatever. It's yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
really interested to check it out again.
yeah. At the very least, at least DC kind of had two things on its back with the Penguin and Superman and Lois season
hmm
4. Um,
Despite
honestly,
getting like
yeah,
next to no marketing.
yeah. I was like, I appreciate when I put the joke you caught it. It's like the tweet saying that Superman and Lois season 4 airs tonight. It's like tonight.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's yeah, because like I remember, I don't even remember. Was there I'm sure there was one trailer before, but I don't even remember seeing that trailer either.
I Yeah, if there was one, I didn't see it.
I definitely didn't see it. Uh, I think probably just I definitely saw the teaser poster, but that was the one with the cape in space on the moon,
Mhm.
which is a shot in episode 1. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. I know there's been a lot of speculation as to why this is kind of like going on because apparently at the great folks at WB were not very particular on having the idea of two Supermans on
Stupid rule.
screen. So that's why we need to end Superman and Lois's version of the character so that the DCU version can exist next July. So
So stupid. It's right. I hate that rule. I've always hated that. Can have
yeah,
one
but
one version.
Batman would not have that problem.
Yeah, you can have the Reeves verse, the DCU, the Joker movies, the uh, that animated Robin movie coming.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
why
just
not with Superman? I
it's,
don't know.
yeah. And like for me it's like I don't mind it ending. It's just really funny that this is the explanation.
Yeah, if it was
Um
artificial like this, it peeves me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess if we have that discussion, do you think uh things were going like an artificial way, like trying to end it as soon as possible? I mean, the only way I can really say
I
that is you have to look at season 3 itself and then knowing what Doomsday is because they introduced Doomsday
Mhm.
in the I think either the finale or the second to last episode of season 3.
uh, he becomes Doomsday in the finale.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, knowing Doomsday and what he entails. yeah, he's going to be it. There's not really much you can do with Doomsday, uh, outside of the death of Superman. I know people have really wanted try to do something different, but like it really is that Doomsday is just not that kind of character to do anything else.
Have you seen Krypton? I heard that did like a different thing, make him like sympathetic. I haven't seen it myself.
Yeah, I think with, I mean, the only thing about that is like Krypton. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Fair.
It does have a really good design though. I think it has one of the best designs, like even Brainiac as well. Um, but yeah, so to kind of pick up, also like another thing that we know about season four prior to going into the season is that they were really going to do a lot of cuts when it comes to the cast. So in particular, a lot of your Smallville citizens, like the Cushing's family, uh, the Irons family, uh, even General Sam Lane and Chrissy and all those, you know, they were going to get cut out, mostly focused more on Superman and his family and Lex Luthor in particular, which, a lot of people have mixed feelings on with that. Like a lot of people were pretty happy, no more Cushings. And I'm not going to
Come on,
say that.
who doesn't want to see more Lana?
Yeah. Yeah. And Inde, as well.
Exactly.
But I get what people are saying. I personally never really mind um, the whole family dynamic. I mean, I get it's like it's called Superman and Lois and all that. So it's like, uh, I get the sentiments. It's just like I don't really agree that like I think it's nice to have a another family, like a normal family that's there and like kind of reactive to everything else. And like relationship drama and all that stuff. I don't really mind that stuff either. So I just don't really mind overall. Um,
I don't either. I've
yeah,
seen I've seen way worse like drama in these CW superhero shows.
CW in particular, yeah. But it's like it's fair. And obviously like when you have Superman and then you kind of contrast it with his son Superboy with Jordan. Obviously you could like they're in different stages of their lives, so it's like it's like you can always like find something to latch yourself onto and all that stuff. So I never really mind those characters. My only question for season four moving forward is like going to be that aspect. How much will those lack of casts apply? And the biggest one of this example is, Steel for sure, because his absence was pretty noticeable. I
Pretty
would
felt,
say,
yeah.
especially in episode one. Um, though you can make an argument for episode two as well. To be fair, um, but yeah, it's interesting. Uh, that's like the only thing, and that's kind of the annoying thing too. Is like about season four is like knowing that there is going to be like a budget cut for this season, so you kind of have to expect some characters to not show up, or will show up like randomly because of cameo sort of thing. So yeah, it's kind of tough to say as of right now. I would say that like non spoiler wise, before we get into the plot, yeah, you do kind of feel it, especially because of the lack of steel. That's my only comment with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh yeah. So as we talked about, the season ended with the fight of Superman versus Doomsday on the moon. It does the classic about to do a punch and then it cuts to black, setting up the next season. But at least this time, and not like you know, Amazing Spider-Man 2, we actually get to see
Yeah, we get to see what happens next.
we get to see what happens next. Um, Now, they don't really focus on. So, okay, just to be clear, this is spoilers here on out. Um, yeah, so they don't show that much of Superman versus Doomsday because ultimately there's not really much visual interest into what you can do. I mean, it's just two super beings punching and fighting each other up in space. There's only so much you could do with it, in terms of creativity wise, which is kind of why a lot of people don't like having Doomsday around because it's just waiting for the death of Superman to happen. Uh, at least like if you compare it to like Parasite, you kind of have to have Superman react differently because he can't touch Parasite, or Brainiac goes more in the cerebral aspect. Um, plenty of these other villains like Livewire, um, they you can at least have some visual interest of the villains like doing something else, but like Doomsday is just like big, strong, punchy, spiky guy. So yeah, it's just not really much there.
Well, when it does cut to him, you can see that
But yeah,
one's clearly losing, and it's not Doomsday.
yes, yes, and then you can also see like his cape is getting shredded to the point
Mhm.
where it's not even there anymore. By the time we're cut back, it looks like they've been fighting for days.
Oh
At the
yeah,
at the
because
very
yeah, a
least,
few days passed throughout the episode.
yeah. So meanwhile, down on Earth, um, they're kind of like they're kind of like piecing things together, due to Lex Luthor coming back. He wants to stay in Smallville, especially to keep, essentially to terrorize Lois and her family
Mhm.
because he blames her for the false imprisonment of him for the last 17 years, and to the point where he has lost all connection to his daughter for a crime that he didn't commit. Uh, and then there was all this stuff like, there was evidence to suggest that Lex wasn't like involved with Bruno Mannheim and all that stuff, but ultimately it was via the onomatopoeia
Yeah,
voice,
mimicking his voice.
synthesizer to make it sound like it was um, Lex, that was speaking the crimes, the stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of like there, and then obviously Lex is not going to take it. He's not going to accept an apology and all that. Um, so yeah, the whole Doomsday stuff, and then obviously like they're trying to figure out how is it that Doomsday came here. It turns out that Lex stole like Sam Lane's like EMP, uh, that summoned Doomsday to come and fight Superman. Um, so I mean, so some things are going on here and there. I will say, like, obviously, with there not being any subplots, with especially like romance or anything like that, everything is more serious now because now the Superman is gone. So I would say that that is something you can feel now. It's like everything is like kind of getting straight to the point into what conversations are talking about, what scenes are meant to do, and that kind of thing. So you could definitely feel that in this season in terms of like there is a clear direction where it's going. Um, so I would say that in terms of its plot relevance. Um, though I will say like what else? Obviously like there's all these things with like Jordan. He's trying to figure out what to do um with his superpowers. He just feels kind of useless and all that, which isn't really new. Um, Jonathan is, being as supportive as he can since obviously he has no powers. Um, and ultimately, like eventually, like all these like storylines kind of like come together, and when Doomsday finally wins against Superman. Uh, I'm trying to be I'm trying to figure out how to talk about the episode actually, because I just watched it um within the last like 4 hours.
Well,
Um,
there's also the Sam Lane stuff. I guess
yeah,
that's the closest to a subplot, even though it's not really because
it's a continuation from
from
season 3.
yeah, it's when he was
Where
captured.
he was trying to get like a he was trying to be on a date, but it turns out like Lex hired Gretchen to take like pretty much essentially kidnap Sam, and he you know it got to a point where I mean Lex is like threatening Lois and all that stuff that he has the dad, but like she can't really do anything about that. Uh, everybody keeps saying like, "Oh, just tell the police," but like it's Lex Luthor, which I guess it's like kind of hit or miss as to what how much can you believe the police can't do anything if he's like flagrantly like admitting things, but Lex is Lex, so Lex has money and he could definitely do something. So I will say that this Lex is definitely more hands-on compared to other versions of Lex Luthor if we compare them. I think that was something that people talked about from season 3 when we got the little we got of him, that he's very different compared to obviously like this version of Lex has more of a vendetta, especially since he's lost 17 years of his life for a crime he didn't commit, and lost his connection to his daughter. Um, so yeah,
His daughter Jenna Simmons
right. We saw like a picture of her. We haven't seen her on screen yet.
in person. Yeah,
Yeah. So the reason why he went after Sam Lane in particular is because he is trying to find his daughter, but Sam is obviously not going to talk. Though it's kind of, but he originally did it too, just to separate him from his daughter Lois, and ultimately, like that didn't really get to go anywhere. Sam tried to escape twice. Um, well, actually, Sam tried to escape once, and then they tried to bury him alive. Um, Jordan was like trying to hear out for his grandpa, but like he wasn't really sure what it was because like he kept hearing like muffle sounds over the scarf. So that wasn't like it wasn't like enough evidence for him to know if that's like his grandfather. But then he hears the girl's voice, Gretchen, and then that's where he recognizes that okay, then that's definitely him then.
she was speaking throughout the episode before, but uh,
I guess
I
he
guess
was like
Jordan wasn't listening at that
I guess he
time.
was like focusing more on his grandpa specifically. I think that's
Oh, yeah, I guess it was
it.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's convenient. I guess it's convenient timing, but to be fair, they have super hearing and super
Oh yeah,
speed.
it's mhm.
There's only so much you could do uh, with them in particular. But yeah, they do make it up to the scene. Jordan and Lois, and uh, you know, Gretchen does say where the dad is after getting a slap in the face by Lois, and Jonathan digs him out. Sam is fine and safe. They go back to the DOD. Lex actually told him through the headline that Superman is in peril, like the newspaper article that Lois put for this Smallville Gazette, that he's not really sure what's going on. Lois is not very confident as to this being this is going to go well for Superman. Uh, and then you have there's nothing in this universe that could kill Superman. Well, yeah, to be fair, Bizarro is not from this universe. So there you go. So yeah, Doomsday's not from this universe. So that's all of these things are pretty clear as to what's what's about to happen. Um, and then throughout the episode too, like there's a lot of flashbacks. Um,
Oh
where
yeah,
Lois is thinking
forgot
back
about those.
either previous seasons or like things like from earlier times. So we learned that Superman was a virgin before Lois. Uh, I know, like Dazn on Twitter was like kind of upset. That means he didn't lose his virginity to Lori the Mermaid.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's fun. It's funny to think about. And then I've also seen other people talk about, oh, it's like somebody like a grown man admits he's a virgin and nobody laughs at him. That's like brand new. I mean, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
Uh,
just too bad he didn't get to smash Lana.
yeah, yeah. There was time. I'm sure there was time. Uh, but yeah. So that's obviously like painting more of their relationship, how pretty good they are together, and all that stuff. Bitsy and Tyler have great chemistry with each other. Um, So we see a few of these flashbacks. We also see the flashback of her giving birth to uh, Jordan and Jonathan, as well as like another flashback of uh, Superman getting a cut on his neck. Every like inner gang has like all this access to kryptonite, and the central theme for like all of these is like there's no need to worry and all this stuff. Like want to make sure that that's all right, Rangi. It's good to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, yeah. The central theme of those flashbacks is kind of like Lois is kind of like worrying about, her humanity versus Superman's humanity, and there's like the whole thing is like she hopefully like she will never have to experience him gone before she does. She has to die, obviously. Um, So that's kind of like your central theme for these flashbacks, and then you get the big one, where after the death of Superman, where this is something that was said in the end of season 3 with regards to you need to like Lex tells Doomsday, when you kill him, give me his heart. Um, so yeah, then it cuts back to space, and the fight kind of continues. Clark is trying to put all of his energy into it. But Doomsday is just too much of a force, and eventually, uh, Doomsday rips out Superman's heart and takes the heart and Superman back to Smallville, where Lois is hanging out. And
And only like 3 other people are in town. The budget cuts.
yeah, yeah. I guess another scene that happened before too is like um, Lex like sits with the boys in the diner as well, and clearly like trying to intimidate them. And there's this one guy who tries to stand up for them, like, yeah, you boys okay? Um, but like it's just like kind of set up for something that happens in the next episode with that particular person. But yeah, so Doomsday comes back. He drops Superman to the ground. Then he flies off with the heart, and it takes a little while for everyone to register that Superman is dead. Uh, his heart is ripped out of the cavity, and people start, and that's kind of like how the episode ends
Mhm.
after montages of Superman and Lois memories and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, everybody's grieving. Um, and that's kind of that's pretty much episode 1. So thoughts?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I liked it. It was a you know, pretty, surprising way to start the season. Oh, the hero's dead. Here's his heartless corpse thrown out in front of the wife and kids.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely interesting because you know, because it ended with Doomsday at the end of season three, which I guess
Hmm.
is like I guess that's kind of a conversation too, because like we know season four was going to be the last season. So then you have like, well, is it rushed that we got to this point? It's tough to say because
Yeah,
like they introduced Lex Luthor, and then Lex Luthor always has a vendetta against Superman. That's just kind of like known.
right.
So it's like, and then I guess it's like I guess the rush part could just be argued like because they combined Doomsday with Bizarro, Superman's who a character we've seen in season two, since season two. Um, so I guess it's like okay, so we made Bizarro into Doomsday. Basically, the idea is that Lex is like able to make it so that Doomsday can never die because that was like Bizarro's like thing. Like he always like always get killed but brought back, do something like to the point where
Yeah,
it's like
because
break the soul
in
like
season three when the Bruno he got experimented on by Bruno Mannheim, and then
yeah,
he got
tortured and all that.
yeah, and Lex then says if man can't kill God, the devil will do it.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like when you go from season one up until now, it's like I really do feel like there is like some level of progression. Like it just seems kind of rushed. Maybe if you just watched it seasons like isolated and you just probably don't remember. But I feel like when you go from season three and then go into season four, I never really thought it was rushed in that aspect. But it's tough to say. I'd probably have to see like the entire show once the show is over. I would probably rewatch it again just to see that. Plus, I mean, the show is very enjoyable overall, so I wouldn't mind rewatching season one.
Definitely the best CW superhero show, I would
Yeah,
say.
by a mile.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how episode one ends. Episode two kind of picks up right where it left off. People are watching the Kents grieve over the death of Superman. Some of the people aren't like they're trying to register as to what happened because like they don't really understand what's going on. So some of them are trying to go over. Lana Lang comes in, but she tries to stop everybody from going. It's like that's like Superman was Lois's best friend. Just let them grieve. Uh, and then she tries to get everybody away. Uh,
Which works. But I was like,
works.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know if people see Superman dead, I don't think they're gonna just walk away. I don't know.
yeah. Uh, I guess like the only thing I could say like the to be fair part is like they can't see his chest cavity is like caved in, so it's like he could just be like
Right? Yeah, tip of the head.
slouched over.
Yeah, it was a night. Yeah, depending how far you were, you wouldn't be able to see closely.
Yeah, and Smallville's like small enough like where I mean like the all the extras can like be seen in the one set. So I guess it's like I guess it's a level of like how small is Smallville, that kind of discussion. But and then the whole Smallville keeps the secret of Superman with them. It's yeah, but it is a little bit like it's interesting how that worked out pretty well. So Lois tells Jordan to take Superman's body back to the fortress, and he tells Lara, his Kryptonian grandmother AI, to do anything to save him. She can't really do anything, but what she suggests is like putting his body in like animation, suspended animation, like similar to how Kryptonians, when they go send prisoners out into the Phantom Zone, they would store them in these cryogenic chambers in stasis, essentially. She's saying she'll try whatever she can, but like he has no heart, so that's kind of difficult to do anything. He can't regenerate in that level of with organs and all that stuff. So it's not it's just a try what you can, but like it's
It's not looking good. Yeah.
not looking good. Um, so in this episode, it's kind of like trying to process the death of Superman. Um, Obviously, like I mean, some of them do feel like there is maybe hope, like if they could find Superman's heart, maybe they could use it to help bring him back. Um, Speaking of the heart, Doomsday does go back to Lex Luthor and gives the heart to him. And it's a moment of celebration for Lex. And so there's different levels of like processing of like what has happened with Superman, because like there is like some of the characters who have hope that like, oh, if we just find the heart we could maybe bring Superman back to life. And then some of them, and then Lois is kind of like, while she wants to have the optimism and the hope like Superman would want, she has to like she still feels like it's her obligation as a journalist to let the public know that Superman is dead. You see the death of Superman as the headline, but she wasn't able to hit send on that. Jordan for sure is like really trying to do what he can to get the heart back. He's even trying to look for Doomsday, which Jonathan, of course, is like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, it's a horrible idea.
It's a horrible idea. So Jordan, he says, so yeah, maybe I can't deal with Doomsday. They don't name the character, but I'll deal with Lex. He has no
Yeah,
power.
like at the end of season 3, Lex should have said, "This is your doomsday."
Right, right. Yeah, but Jordan's like, if I can't deal with him, I can deal with Lex. Lex has no power. He's a psycho, but power beats psycho. Yeah, it's definitely not a great idea.
No,
Uh, and Lois is given so much warning. It's like, leave Lex alone, leave him alone, and all that stuff. Let him do what he's got to do, but like leave him alone. Otherwise, if you get yourselves involved, then it gets much worse. Lex is trying to separate or try to make a wedge in Lois and her children, uh, on purpose. So, but Jordan doesn't listen. He ends up going to Lex while he's in a meeting, trying to talk about how to bring his numbers back up. They say like, oh, if you just give like a press conference, you should be fine. But it's like, no, I want to stay in Smallville, which doesn't really make sense to anybody else. But it's like, okay, then I guess we could just build up your social media brand. But then at that point, Jordan comes in with the Superboy appearance and he tries to intimidate Lex to giving him art. He even puts him against the wall. And then Lex is just super calm because he's been in this position a lot. As like, so it's like, give me the heart. Or what? Will you kill me? So it's like, no. Uh, so Lex gets to a point where he's backing Jordan down, the guy with powers. It's like, you don't want, it's like, if you like
so
ever,
I'm like, yeah, you're not ready for this,
you're not ready
basically.
for this. Yeah. Which obviously strikes a chord on Jordan. And this pretty much gets Lex to connect pieces that, okay, this is clearly Jordan. And this is
Yeah.
clearly the son of Superman, and this is clearly all connected with
Yeah, Superman is married to
Lois is
Lois and they
married
have
to
kids. Yep.
Superman. Yeah, so
So
it
nice
was
going, Jordan.
yeah. I guess like the thing is like Jordan has always been like brash in that sense. So like I'm not
Mm.
like gonna say it's like character assassination or anything like that
Oh
to do
no, yeah, I'm not.
do something this stupid. I mean they acknowledge it
Mhm.
and all this stuff, but it is like something you think about.
Yeah. It fits for him. It was just it's a huge mistake that he did.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and Lois is like Lois like when she learns the truth about this is like very pissed and rightfully
Oh yeah.
so. Rightfully so. Um, Lex knows the so actually the first thing that happened is Jonathan was going to tell Lois that Jordan went to look for Lex, but Lois saw that Lex is going back to his hotel, which once again the hotel he purchases sitting right in front of the Smallville Gazette, so he's clearly just stalking
So always watching her.
Lois.
Creepy.
Um, yeah, and she goes up there and with Jonathan, and then he pretty much flat out says like, "That's the second time your family has threatened me out of nowhere." It's like second time. It's like your son came to look for me, and then Jonathan was, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Jordan. And yeah, and she's trying to deny, but it's like it's too late. He already knows everything. Then he even goes to ask like, does Jonathan have powers too? Guess not. Guess it's for the best. Yeah. So Lex kind of has all this knowledge now. It explains everything. Like, oh, you put me away because you were afraid of me, like hurting your husband, and all this stuff. So yeah. So these are the things that are making sense to him now. Even though Lois is obviously kind of continuing to not deny. But yeah, there's nothing really she could do at this point. Um, and then they go back home. Um, Lois is really mad at Jordan. Um, he's obviously trying to justify, like, it doesn't like who cares about secret identities and all that stuff. Um,
Yeah, he's like it mattered more that they get his dad's heart.
yeah, it's like there's not really so around this time is like when Lois is told by because like the subplot going on is that Lois and Lana they do talk about it, um, about the possible departure of Superman and all that, and she also explains that like Lex is like bought the hotel that essentially is like keeping an eye over the Gazette and all that stuff. Lana approved that thing, but like she didn't know it was like Luther. Like it was like a shell company essentially under some other name. Uh, but yeah, so she was looking into that, trying to see if they can try to figure out how to stop Luther without doing anything. Lois is saying just leave it completely alone because if you do something, he'll go after your entire family and all that stuff. Which, by the way, Kyle has not shown up as well.
No, yeah,
So yeah, there's that
budget hits.
budget. Um, but yeah. So that's kind of the subplot, I'd say. She's trying to figure out how to stop Luther, at least get him out of that hotel without indicating that was her. Uh, but then like the one guy who stood up for the twins to Luther, he goes to their office and he pretty much says that he figured out that Clark Kent is Superman because of how the family was like grieving over the body. He could kind of connect the two dots. But
Yeah.
The guy, I
You
guess, is kind of like a
said it was
parallel.
similar to when he lost his wife, right?
Yeah, but he also said like, because Superman has saved us like a billion times. Like, I could keep a secret. Like, I've earned that.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's earned my trust in order to keep it. It was like Lois, like that doesn't really matter at this point because Luther knows, and who knows
Mm.
what he'll do with that information, which is something that's up in the air as of right now. Um, but yeah, the kids themselves, Sarah and Jonathan do kind of talk about it. Like Jonathan is like he's kept it internalized for a while that like yeah, you're not your dad. Nobody, but then it's like but nobody is your dad, so it's like it's not just because of you to Jordan. Um though he's definitely not helping in what he's doing. But eventually there's this point where Jordan is listening out and he could hear Superman's heartbeat all of a sudden. Which Jonathan is like, dude, you just tried to threaten Lex Luthor and now you hear his heart. It's obviously a trap, but he doesn't care.
Not if you
So
know, then it's a face-off.
yeah, yeah. So he goes out and tries to see what that is going on. And then Sarah calls Jonathan because Lex is actually at the diner where she works, and she's saying that maybe you can go to his hotel and see if you can find the heart in there. Which is kind of like I don't know why you would think that it would be in
Yeah, it
there.
was.
Like
Yeah, Jordan went to where the heart was, so I don't know why he would. Yeah, that was a bit weird.
yeah, because like I think it would make sense if Jonathan was there first. Like if Jonathan went to the hotel first because of Sarah was like calling. But the thing is like Jonathan just had a conversation with Jordan that like I can hear the heart from here
Hmm.
basically. So he's clearly going in a direction where the heart is. So I'm not really sure why Sarah would go to call Jonathan to look for the heart in the hotel if you know that Jordan is going out
Well,
to
I
find.
get why. Well, Sarah didn't know that, so I get why she
I
would
I know why
tell
Sarah
him.
does. It's more on Jonathan, I would
It's like,
say.
yeah, I don't know why Jonathan would be. Yeah,
I think the only way to really fix that is like have Sarah call Jonathan first and do that first, and then have
yeah,
Jordan like hear
to
the heart
split him
and
up so that
somewhere else.
he wouldn't know. Hmm.
Yeah, that's the only way I could really see that. But like in the sequence of events of how the episode was going, yeah, Jordan went out first, and then Jonathan went after, which won't make sense. That's my only thing with this episode. Um, so yeah, Jordan does go to the hotel and he's looking around. He does it not Jordan, Jonathan. Jonathan is going around the hotel while uh, Sarah is trying to be as nice as she can so that he can. Lex will stay. Eventually, Lana comes back in the diner. Uh, Lex is being creepy, but in a calculated way, obviously. Uh, so Lana and Sarah talk about why are you trying to be nice to Lex Luthor, and then she eventually reveals that because like she knows that she's lying. Then she reveals that Jonathan is going to his hotel to find the heart, and then um, obviously not happy about that. Not happy about that, and she she tells her like okay, then just try to keep Lex here so that Jonathan can get out safe. But Lex actually left $100 tip. Um, and there's like that's one of the brothers. Seems like he's in danger. Um, Meanwhile, at a shipping dock, Jordan is kind of like going around. He's fighting some goons, and he eventually gets to a box where he thinks he hears the heart, but what he finds is that the heart is actually from some action figure. So I'm kind of curious, how did that happen,
Yeah, I don't know.
or
I assume it was
how would
something
Lex,
that
how would Lex know that Superman has a three beat per second heart?
um or yeah, because it's not beating when he has it. So
I guess like
well,
maybe
he did fight Superman for years prior, so I guess
it's like that.
maybe
He also has
somehow we learned it.
Bizarro.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was experimenting on Bizarro, so yeah, he could know. So this
Maybe
this toy was it like? I'm guessing he modified it, or does it just normally do that?
it's definitely modified for sure.
Yeah, it's gotta be modified.
Yeah,
Otherwise, all you know, yeah, otherwise, you hear all the Superman toys in the world hard beating like that. So yeah, it's probably modified.
yeah. It's possible that like he probably could have got something out of Doomsday or his years of battling
Maybe.
Superman. It's a little bit much, and then plus like it's recorded enough to a point where it can catch Jordan's attention, which is obviously the
Mhm.
point because it was obviously meant to be a trap, as Jonathan suggested. But to be fair, Jordan said he doesn't care. Uh, so yeah, Lex actually isn't going towards his hotel. He was actually going towards Jordan. Meanwhile, in this entire thing, Lois is just God. It felt awful, man. It's like Lois is just goes home. She has a pizza, and then she gets this phone call from Clark
Oh
saying,
yeah, that was fucked up. That call.
"Yeah, it's like, yeah,
It sounds like Clark Kent's voice.
I'm dead,"
She's like, oh, I thought you were dead. Oh, I am dead.
and so
This
is
one of your sons will be too.
one of your sons.
The
Uh,
fucking limited time offer. If you want Jonathan to live, press 1. If you want Jordan to live, press 2.
yeah, and then there was a countdown to like 10, 9, 8.
Mm-hmm.
She does press a number. We just don't
Yeah,
know
we
what
don't see what one was.
to pick. But it turns out, yeah, Lex was there to fuck with Jordan. Because he obviously knows about like they're looking for the heart, and the goons, his goons, like they pretty much pin him down. Uh, with this, well, Lex has like this, the sonar from Onomatopoeia
Mm-hmm.
that is essentially, even though he is like impervious to um kryptonite, like, but like that sound stuff is still gonna really damage like his super hearing, so that kind of like keeps him incapacitated.
Wait, is he
Um,
impervious to kryptonite?
yeah. Well, it's not like impervious. Like he's more like he can definitely absorb it and not
He
feel
can
pain.
he can resist it somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was also like I don't know if you remember that. Like they kept showing the flashback of him and his dad doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, both fighting through it.
That was from in the previous season that happened to Jordan too, and they thought that Jordan was dying, but then it turns out that Jordan was fine because he's impervious to kryptonite, or it doesn't hurt him as much as it would to Superman,
Okay.
something like
That's
that.
right. That's right. I'd forgotten.
Yeah, so that's why it wasn't really bothering him, but like yeah, the sonar was like bothering him, and then so Lex is pretty much toying with him now. He's like, you just I could. This is kind of why you need to. This is why you're not ready for this. And I, um, you know, and you came back and you're not able to do what you're supposed to do. So I could just kill you now, but I'm not going to do that. But I do need to
Take something from.
take something from you. And then he shows the heart. He drops on the floor. Jordan tries to grab it, uh, even though he's still like somewhat incapacitated. Uh, but Lex stomps on the heart and
So someone crushes it.
crushes it.
Which I'm thinking. it's probably not. It probably wasn't the actual heart. That's what
Yeah,
I'm assuming. I'm like, I don't. Could his heart be just crushed that easily by a basically normal guy? Well, no.
yeah. I also don't. I feel like it's kind of too rubbery. Like I don't know if that's how a heart would crush.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
haven't
guess he
crushed a heart lately.
and he is an alien, so it could be a little bit different.
Yeah. I don't know
Uh,
if it's that, or if it's like the prop they use,
yeah,
like
yeah. I'm not sure.
like out of like the making the show, like the prop they use. I don't know if yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go crush a human heart, see what it will look like.
Yeah, so Jonathan does go home. Lois is happy to see him, but like completely worried about Jordan, what's going on. She does get a call from Jordan at the Gazette. Jordan is heartbroken.
Ah, see what you did there.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said that Lex destroyed the heart. So that means Superman is truly gone. And everybody is very sad about this. And then then Lois calls Lana as well. And Lana is having a hard time processing that as well. It's like my best friend since we were kids. I can't even imagine that. Yeah, definitely the emotions are high for this season.
And then she
Even
says, "Hey,
though
we're
it's
both single now." No, no, that's
nice. Uh, but yeah, yeah, and then they do go back to the they go back. The family goes back to the Fortress of Solitude, and they have they talk to Lara AI about if anything is gonna happen. She said that there was this one surprise Superman had, and it's him. Superman has an AI of himself, and and Lois was asking, uh, you know, is it real?
like, what do we do
Like,
now?
so what are we
Basically,
doing now? Basically, and then he's apologizing, like you were never supposed to see something like this ever happen, essentially. Um, but like she's saying, it's not his fault. She's never made him he's never made her disappointed or upset or in that regard. Um, but yeah, basically, like he said he was going to tell them that he did put his imprint for the Kryptonian AI uh, ahead of time, but because Lois was dealing with cancer in the last season, he was unable to talk about it. I'm fine with that. I don't think there's any reason to explain that I transferred my conscious to
yeah,
Kryptonian
yeah,
AI
I think
when
as well.
somebody's dealing with cancer. I'm fine with that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess this is your opportunities to have Tyler Hoechlin speak, though, and not be a corpse for what probably will be a
For
majority of the
however
season,
long. Yeah.
however long. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think it makes sense. And yeah, that's kind of like how the episode ends. It's like now that now that he's gone, like it kind of goes on you three, uh, or it's you're on your own, essentially, kind of a thing. Um, that's basically the episode. The second episode.
Yeah.
How was this?
So, um, I found it a bit weaker than the previous
Yeah,
one. These are the things we like point out earlier, like with their plans and all. And not terrible.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
just
think it
again, you still feel this like the cuts, like where the irons.
right. Yeah, because it's like oh, it's on U3, and I guess irons, but I don't talk about that. Um, yeah, that's kind of like my only thing. Is like the plans or the sequence of how the plans go. I can't really say anything because Jordan has always been like a hothead, and he's always
Hmm.
brash and all that stuff. So it's like he's doing it again and all that stuff. So and he did acknowledge that like he knows that it's a trap, and I don't care. So I can't really say anything on that. But it's more on like Jonathan. But to be fair, Jonathan is just lucky that Lex decided not to go back to his hotel after the diner, and he went straight to Jordan. Now, I will say, to be fair on that side, is that Jordan is a super being, and it would probably be more like entertaining to shit with a superpowered person and not the not powered one. So
Yeah, you know that is true. Yeah,
that's kind of like my
Lex would get a
yeah
kick out of that.
yeah Lex
Well,
would definitely
but
yeah.
actually, did he know that John was in the apartment? I don't know if that's never made clear.
That's never said because like when we see the footprints, like it's Lana who went to get him.
Hmm.
Obviously, that was meant to be a twist, but
Yeah.
it's more like so. The thing is, like Jonathan was never in danger because Lex was never going to his apartment, so that's just lucky, I would say. Uh, and it's like the luck is like fair because yes, he would definitely choose Jordan over Jonathan, like because Jordan is the superpowered being, and it's way more fun to mess with that guy than Jonathan. And it's like, it's a matter of and they were both executing their plans at the same time. So it's like you're gonna have to pick one. He's one person. And yeah, Jordan is just it makes more sense for Lex to go for Jordan. It's just more like
Hmm.
Jonathan would not be in danger if but that also kind of goes back to the onomatopoeia phone call, is that he says that, like they said that both of your sons are in danger. Like one of them is gonna die. So obviously it's to fuck with Lois too. But like at
Hmm.
that point, it's like you kind of had to know that Jonathan is not home. And Jonathan is somewhere that he shouldn't be, kind of a thing. So I
Hmm.
guess I guess it's
Yeah,
more of that kind of stuff.
that
Like
is
I don't
true.
know. That's the stuff that doesn't make sense. Like I do get like Lex like picking Jordan over Jonathan, in that sense. I still don't think why would Jonathan go out for this type of plan, like from Sarah suggesting,
Yeah,
because
that was my main thing. Yeah.
where Jordan is going. So it's like there's no real reason to go to his apartment. The only information that he gets is like, he has a daughter. Lex has a daughter, which is something
Hmm.
that Lois knows. But I guess it's to a detail, like level of detail that she wouldn't know, is like he has been like Lex has like a bunch of like newspapers of his daughter, like whatever she's been doing from college onward. So I guess it's like the level of attention to detail of how much like Lex is trying to get into it is something that hit or miss as to like what of value did Jonathan get from the apartment hotel thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing.
And we'll see. We'll see how it plays like later in the season.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think anything is like damaging or anything.
No.
Yeah. Um. So that was Superman Lois season 4. Um. Took us an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I could ask about predictions, but like it's kind of I don't think that's too necessary. Do you think
Like
Superman will come back to life?
um, my prediction is like, yeah, I guess that wasn't his real heart, and they'll find it later on, and that's how he'll come back. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they've already said the name Brainiac in the
Oh,
first.
that's right. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they talk
there's
about the scientist, and he says that he's a real brainiac. and
Yeah.
his name is I forget the name, but it is one that like Brainiac used once.
Hmm. I didn't. I only heard Brainiac.
I,
I missed the
I,
transcript.
I forgot the scientist's name, but they say it, and yeah, like and then they say like the guy thinks he's such a Brainiac or something like that. Is what I
Right.
can't line.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've also heard that Tom Cavanaugh is suggested for Brainiac somewhere in
Really?
that.
Huh?
Like I heard
That's
his name
so
was in
weird.
the mix of being Brainiac. I mean, it's a good
I
cast.
don't. Huh?
It's-
I don't. Well,
Damn.
it's separate. It's separate from the universe. I guess they could do that.
Yeah, and the Brainiac does have like makeup.
Yeah.
Filmento talked about leveling up your characters, Deadpool and Wolverine. What a
Wait,
great
what?
movie. Just looking at my YouTube recommendations.
Wait. So we said that Deadpool and Wolverine leveled up the
Yeah,
characters.
their characters are leveled up.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great movie.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I have seen people talk about uh, Joker 2 versus all these other comic book movies like Madam Web and Deadpool Wolverine. Joker 2 is better.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh yeah. Madam Web can rest assured it's along the worst movie of 24. Like, no,
It's not even the worst movie of 2020.
that is true. Yeah.
Madam Web, at least.
But yeah, but the
Borderlands,
majority still thinks Deadpool
yeah,
and Wolverine is good.
yeah. Borderlands by far is like worst.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about Borderlands. That's always misery when I remember it.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. We can kind of riff around. Uh. I guess we can keep it in theme on DC. We got some new castings. Uh.
Yeah.
This for
Oh yeah, you're a real big fan of the Jon Stewart casting, right?
yeah. Yeah. So this whole Lanterns show for HBO Max has been. I don't like any single news that came out of it. I don't like the creators. I don't like the writers. I don't like the idea of where the story is going. I don't like all three Lantern casts. Um, it's just bizarre to me, man. Like I have not seen like something that goes like over. Any of my basketball fans would know putting up Tony Snell numbers, going over 10 on everything. Uh, it's crazy. Um, Lanterns is such like the Green Lantern Corps is such like a vast like spectacle, and I have no idea why you would want to put it Earth based at all. And honestly, like I feel like the description of the Lantern show makes more sense if it was like a Martian Manhunter show. Because like with Martian Manhunter, he is more like detective based and like being the last Martian and all that. That's debatable nowadays. But he does spend a lot of time on Earth, and you can obviously you can do a lot of things with him. In that sense, and honestly, like I feel like Aaron Pierre was like a better casting choice for Martian Manhunter if they wanted to pick a hero. Uh, but obviously they went with John Stewart because you know, I mean, so there's like a mix of a few things of what my issues are. I don't like Hal Jordan being 60. I really like Kyle Chandler though. Like, so don't make that mistake. It's just I get what they're going for, but like I don't know if you remember Beware My Power.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, like it's just kind of shocking to me how eerily similar it sounds. Like first off, I don't know where this obsession is with John Stewart is like somebody that is like significantly younger than Hal Jordan and needs to be mentored by him. Like I don't know, it's like it feels like it honestly feels like we're talking about like Spider-Man and Miles Morales. Oh shit. I put that on camera. Damn it. Spider-Man is not Spider-Man. Miles Morales is not Miles Morales. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's gonna get clipped out of context. Um, with
Rip.
Peter Parker and Miles Morales,
Mhm.
that dynamic of those two, one is significantly older, one is younger, but like there's clearly like a mentor mentee relationship between the two. I don't know, like lanterns are just not that kind of organization where that is a thing because the lanterns just get lanterns. If anybody gets mentored, it's usually through Kilowog. Hal is just not a great teacher usually. And if he teaches anybody, it's usually Kyle Rayner. And even then, Kyle Rayner, like he's already gotten most of the basics down already. Uh, not to mention, like Kyle Rayner is just essentially meant to be that. I don't know if you know about the DCAU, the original reason why Wally West was Flash and why Kyle Rayner was originally supposed to be Green Lantern, back from Superman the animated series. It's because in the
It's
'90s
because
they had the obligation to make the Justice League members based on who was currently the Justice League members in the comics.
yeah.
So Kyle Rayner was on the Justice League and Wally West was on the Justice League. So that's why they went in that direction. I will say though, I just find it interesting, like with this whole DCAU, there's definitely some clear inspirations going on from that, and it's kind of unfortunate because like a lot of people love Jon Stewart in that show, and I get why, but like he's not very accurate to Jon Stewart in terms of like personality or in terms of like his career and like how he goes as a character. But it's hard to like really talk about that because like he is a very popular version of the character. But I also think I just think he's a lot like
It's,
I think Jon Stewart is like very boring in the sense of like in the DCAU specifically. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I just feel like he's like I think a lot of people connected with the stoicism, no nonsense kind of character, and that's fine. I get it, but like that doesn't really give him much anyway. But at the same time, it's like I'm not really surprised because the DCAU overall is just made by Batman fans, and you can kind of feel that
mm,
with other characters, not just you can feel that with Superman too, if we're being honest. And then Wonder Woman, Flash, all of them are just like I don't know. Like, but I will say, like, obviously, like the DCAU is pretty good as a universe overall. And it's definitely like one of the best examples that we'll probably get in terms of like a cohesive, full on comic book sort of universe style thing that actually tried in that sense. And I can always give it credit for that. But, I still feel like a lot of these characters could have been done better if they knew some of these characters for who they are. Um, but yeah, and then this whole thing about Aaron Pierre specifically is that he's been a very popular fan cast after people have seen Rebel Ridge, which came out last month, like September 6th, so very recent. And then all of a sudden we see like
very damn.
yeah, and then all of a sudden we get like this news saying that oh he's in the short list for Jon Stewart, which everybody kept saying is like he looks exactly like the one from the cartoon, which I don't know about you, and I'm not black myself, but I don't understand why people are saying that. Um, and then it just gets funnier. Where like everybody keeps putting this side by side is like they clearly don't look alike, the characters and the actor. But it's like, this whole discussion about like because like Neil Adams, like the creator of the character, he intended for the character to be dark skinned. That's kind of why a lot of people are not happy about the casting choice. Uh, and honestly, like my thing about, I guess, it's kind of rambling at this point. My particular
So
take on it is just like I feel like when it's really weird because like Gunn has like this really annoying thing I would say when it comes to is he like really in tune with social media, what the discourses are, or is he not? Because he always plays the fence on that, and it gets really annoying. Um, so like he's saying that he didn't watch the movie. He just like had him on the list, and he thought he was like the best actor in the position of there. So it's like he's not influenced by social media. But like I will say though, think I don't think he should have been in the casting call in the first place for John Stewart. I don't know. It's like
you have to have known him for something if he got in the casting call.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What do you know him then?
So the only thing is like so he was on Krypton, like the TV show.
Oh, okay.
He did Krypton before, and then he also obviously I mean people know him from old as well.
Yeah, maybe Gunn was really impressed by his performance as mid-sized sedan.
Yeah. Yeah, and he actually was supposed to be the villain in Blade, which now it's the when you think about it, is like if Blade happened, would this casting have happened? Don't know. Because originally he was supposed to be the villain of Blade, then there was a rewrite, then Mia Goth was supposed to play Lilith, and then he was like pushed to the side, and then all of a sudden, like because Blade is just not happening at this point,
Yeah, no,
they just
it's not.
fired another director. Well, not fired, but they
They
asked the
left.
director and he said no.
Oh, yeah, that movie's doomed.
Wait, say that again? Yeah, yeah.
Fucking doomsday. Reed Richardson did Doctor Doom won't have a relationship or whatever. That's true. I'm gonna scream. Sorry, back to that's Marvel. We're on DC.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I get it, and it's like I do agree he's a good actor. I absolutely agree, and people are saying that obviously there's this whole comparison with like, oh, you have to keep the same energy as like, so it's like they're he's black and the character's black, so it's like, oh, it should be fine. Then you guys don't complain about race swapping like white to black or anything like that. And it's like, I've always hated that argument myself. You know, being an Indian, like we don't get considered a lot in these superhero roles anyway. And I'm not really surprised on that. But at the same time, it's like I'm not gonna like I also don't want to take like the brownie points of some other character. Like, oh, like now let's have Gambit in the MCU and he's Indian. Should I be happy about that? That the character is Indian now? No, I don't feel that because like Gambit is Cajun and he's his own character. I'd feel more satisfied with a character that actually is my background and it's not just happening because I need to leech off of some other character success in order to get it. That's always been my mentality. So it's like, just keep the characters as consistent as you can. And also, like, I also just don't like the argument of like, oh, if does the race matter to the character or not? Because like, there's always going to be a goalpost moving onto like what is true and what isn't. So then I just wouldn't bother. Plus, that sounds like really tedious, in my opinion. But again, I mean, but at the same time, I'm not gonna like complain about that in the once the final product happens. Like, there's nothing you really do. It's like, oh, they've already casted. What am I gonna say? No, and they're gonna listen. So there's nothing I can do. Like, I don't like the casting for Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, but I can't do anything about it. So what am I supposed to do about that? Nothing. Same way. So it just is what it is. I mean, I can voice like what I don't like about it. I just think like he fits way better as like a villain or Martian Manhunter specifically. That just makes way more sense to me than John Stewart. And then like my other thing too is like because of how popular the fan casting was, I'm not 100% sure. It's like if you like, so there was like another actor, Stephen James, who is more like dark skin and all that. But the thing is, like, I don't know if it's like deflating if for another actor, if like you see like the internet is just completely on one person's side, or like at least a majority of them. I mean, there were people supporting Stephen as well. I know Stephen from like If Beale Street Could Talk, and I think he would have been a really good choice um for John Stewart as well.
John.
Yeah. Though there was this rumor that Damon Idris was like in the mix, and I feel like if Damon was there, he definitely would have won because he was definitely the biggest like Damson Idris. I think you might know him from
I'll have to look up the name. What was it?
Damson Idris. Both of these guys are British. It's from Black Mirror, Doctors, Snowfall.
He hasn't been in anything I've seen.
Yeah, it was definitely like one of the bigger fan casts too. But like, I do feel like if he was in the mix, I think he would have. I think he would have won easily. But you know, I mean, but
Maybe.
it's just like interesting. Like Rebel Ridge just comes out, and then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, Aaron is in the mix. Interesting how that works out. And honestly, like,
Coincidence? I think not.
yeah, and it's kind of annoying too because like I feel like with Supergirl too, Supergirl. I mean, people say that Supergirl wasn't a fan cast, but to be fair, Supergirl is kind of weird because pretty much any blonde actress will get fan cast as Supergirl, like no matter what. So I'm not gonna say that because like obviously Meg has gotten it, Millie has gotten it. So you know, it just like, but it is kind of interesting to me. Like so many people, like once they say who's the final two, more of them are gonna say Millie Alcock because of House of the Dragon. Though obviously Meg had some supporters as well. I personally wanted Meg as well. Uh, though I'm not again like I'm not like upset that Millie Alcock got the role. She's really good and she'll definitely do well. I just feel like I think my whole thing with the DCU in general is like I feel like there's so much emphasis on like trying to show that this is an established universe and like already doing all these castings and getting them all like ready to go. But at the same time, it's like we're still waiting for the universe to start. And I don't know, it's like I don't find this particularly healthy or great in terms of like starting this new DCU. And you have all these projects like up in arms, and then you have that gives everybody plenty of time to like try to fan cast and try to do things here and there. And then obviously James like going in and out on like does he want to reply or does he not want to reply? It kind of gets annoying in that. Um,
It's a
again, it's
double-edged
like
sword when you're as active as he is
yes,
and
yes,
engages in.
yeah, and then like I don't know, it's like I want to be excited about Superman because I like the castings for Superman and Lois and all of his friends at the uh Daily Planet, but like I have to also remember that there's like all the JLI stuff, there's all the possibly Maxwell Lord, and then there's all this other stuff going on that like it just really like it just sounds like it wants to focus a lot on the expansive DC universe and less to do with Superman, which I'm not going to say that's true because I haven't seen the movie.
No,
But like I just wish like that wasn't like something that we know or something that we think about. That's just something like we just expect. Like, yeah, the DC universe is expensive. Good. I don't need you to prove it to me. It's just that kind of thing. And I mean, my other thing that I'm disappointed with is like I really do think I wish Superman was like your first traditional superhero in the universe, then like because that's just who Superman is supposed to be. But now it's like you're setting this in a universe that's already existed, So Superman is just another superhero, which is
Mhm.
fine. But then it just kind of like devalues a little bit on Superman isn't really the guy. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah. So that's well. Now it's like we're making that seemingly Superman is going to be the real hero, while other superheroes are like corporate,
And
dragging
that's
dragging them down,
that's a
which
particular thing I'm not a big
I'm
fan
not a
of
fan of.
as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, like Superman, I personally and like I also hate this discourse. It's like if you say anything critical about Gunn, that means you're a Snyder fan.
Oh yeah.
I I
You,
hate
you can only
Snyder movies.
praise.
Like, you
Well,
can only praise Gunn and all this stuff. No, dude. Like I keep it real for both sides. I really don't mind. I mean, we talk bad. We I mean, I put Guardians 3 as like the most over movie of last year. Our end of the year awards and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, even then, like Guardian 3 had like some good stuff in it, but it's definitely would qualify for overrated as well. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But besides that, um, I also just don't like it because oh, it's like wow, you're not a Superman fan if you think that making Superman be the better hero over the others is a bad thing. It's like that's not good. Like I'm sorry, like Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Metamorpho are superheroes too. I don't understand why if you feel like it's like, oh, we put those heroes down so we can prop Superman up is not cringe to me.
well, you
Um
see, there's only like five Metamorpho fans, so who cares?
man,
And I know that's your favorite argument.
yeah. It's just it's oh my god. It boils my brain. And it's and then even then it's like even the little things are kind of bothering me at this point. Like Creature Commandos is coming out in December
I mean,
and
Suicide Squad 3.
Suicide Squad 3, the third attempt with new characters all owned by Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller again.
And then it's like the Creature Commandos were just like a team of monsters who wants to help humans even though they're monsters. That's it. There's no corporation, there's no business, there's no motivation from government or Amanda Waller. They just are monsters who want to help, even though people don't like them because they're monsters. I don't. That's already interesting enough for me to make them unique and stand out, but making them a Suicide Squad clone sucks. But like obviously I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna go into it and I'm gonna be objective about it as in general. But like I just don't know why would you try to like and Gunn said like this was originally a DCEU idea that eventually had to like come off and like become a part of the DCU. So it's kind of like semi related but semi not. Uh and obviously Peacemaker 2
Like Peacemaker, yeah.
is going to be a little bit annoying on that front.
Sure,
I
I
mean,
won't
he
be
says
confused.
that it's completely a reboot. It's just going to be treated like season 2.
Which doesn't follow.
Yeah, I'll have
It
to see
can
how
be a
that.
reboot, but then follow something not in the same continuity. It don't
Yeah.
make no sense.
Yeah, and honestly, like the other thing too is like Waller is not Nick Fury. Like I
No,
will say,
no.
Viola Davis is like a fantastic cast for Waller. Uh, but yeah, and I do agree. Like if you wanted to pick one person from the DCEU that you want to keep, it was definitely going to be Waller. I do agree with that. But I don't know. She's not Fury. Like
Yeah.
she's at
That's
best
another
she's
thing.
gray. But
That's another thing with Black Adam, how they made her in charge of the JSA.
oh my god, that
Why?
and then honestly, like, and sometimes Gunn's comments like are really obtuse to me. It's like, oh, Shazam 2, that wasn't canon to me because it puts Amelia Harcourt and Stephen Agree in that film, Economos in that film. It's like, why would they be in a Shazam movie? That doesn't make any sense. Why would they? But I was like, I don't know, dude. Why did Waller take care of the JSA? That wasn't weird to you?
I guess not.
I was like, bro, it's like if Waller has Doctor Manhattan, sorry, Doctor Fate in her payroll, you don't need anybody on the Suicide Squad. Like it's God. I don't know if that's the Rock's fault or something. I don't know. But yeah, like if you give Waller like access to Doctor Fate, then really like there is no need for anybody else. I don't know why you would do this. Which is funny because like Doctor Fate kind of sucks in like a lot of cartoons. Uh
It hasn't had the best treatment. Yeah.
he hasn't had the best treatment, I'd say. Um but yeah, you know, you got James Bond as Doctor Fate. No, that's better. It's better
Well, until he died.
until he died. But yeah, but yeah, she also had access to a Thanagarian. You also had Adam Smasher. You also had Cyclone. You know, there's some pretty decent characters to have that doesn't need to be Suicide Squad. So it's
Yeah.
Black Adam was a weird movie, and
Yeah. And like you were saying, Amanda Waller isn't the type of like you said, like at best she's gray, and
she's like
yeah,
pretty.
and where she's literally a villain.
Yes,
Have you read Absolute Power? She's a villain.
yeah, and like you know, she obviously has the Batman like respects her in terms of her mind, but not for what she does. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
I feel like people would get that from the Cadmus arc, but guess not. Um, but yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot to say about DC overall. I just haven't been the biggest fan of like some of these ideas that are going about it. I still feel like, you know, I really don't know what was wrong with like trying to build up the universe naturally and not just be in the middle of a established universe. Because ultimately, like I feel like with a lot of these characters, it's like I mean, I guess you're putting a lot of faith in like people read comics or people understand these characters and who they are. Or you want to really go in heavy into the prequel aspect, like, oh, if you want to know the origins of the characters, read this or watch this or do this. And then there's this whole like movie, TV show, live action, animated,
Video
video
games.
games. It's like that's just
Everything's
sounds
supposedly going to be under the same universe.
yeah. I wish he gave one example of a video game in his pitch. That would have been nice.
But then we're gonna have this Robins movie animated that's in Elseworlds.
It's also
So
yeah.
so is he going back on that, or is just also some projects too?
Yeah,
Well, no, he has to be going back because he said all of them will be under the same one, didn't he?
it's like it's the same as in like oh it's the multiverse
Oh,
like in that case
mhm.
like they're all like DC Studios projects. It's just that some of them are in the Elsewhere umbrella, some of these are in the DC Studios umbrella, some of these are in the other stuff.
Okay. So we can have a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie in about like 15 years.
Man, and then like those animated movies, man. Another
Yeah.
crisis attempt done terribly. Bro,
Well,
you
I'm
just
glad that Tomorrowverse died.
the way it died is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's all your favorite worlds. They've been erased. Bye bye.
That's the big thing about Crisis. Crisis just cannot work in the sense of like you can't
In this
replicate
form, no.
what made Crisis work in the comics is because of like all the decades of stories told. and all that stuff, and that you can like kind of like go through it. And obviously like you can do that to a degree with like, oh, let's treat this universe as like its own universe. Like this old Batman show has its own universe, 1966. And let's treat this Nick Cage Superman as its own universe. You know, like like how the Flash did it. So
Hmm.
there was a crisis in that film. I mean, both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, crisis is just not really like it's not like something you could do like Infinity War or like Endgame in that sense. I don't think Crisis is like that type of story. I mean, people talk about Dark Side Wars, which I think people are just trying to pick and choose, try to make it as similar to the MCU as possible, even though that's not really how DC operates. I would say
Shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, I've said a lot about my personal opinions about the state of DC. Uh, Obviously, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Uh, I just haven't been super excited about a lot of the stuff announced. Um, I still feel like with Lanterns, it's just like I really don't think True Detective is a good show to base this type of characters around. Like, I get it, they're space cops, but like they're not like that kind of space cops. Like they're not those kinds of cops like that would benefit to something
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's more like Men in Black.
yeah, it is more like Men in Black. But even then it's like I don't know. John and Haller, they definitely spend a lot more time in space than they do on Earth
Hmm.
usually. So I don't really see like why this was the idea. Like, I think, like, if you do Earth-based, I feel like Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz would make more sense if they were gonna pick lanterns in space, on Earth, but, like, even that's, like it's kinda disappointing too, because like, they're Green Lanterns, and we haven't really done anything with the Green Lanterns because Ryan Reynolds has, like, completely tarnished the name of the Lanterns, and he keeps doing it as
Yeah.
recently as last week. So yeah, it's a joke that he won't let go. That wasn't even funny to
It's
joke
hurting
about.
the character.
Yeah, yeah, and like
But the,
I don't know. I think this whole thing with like Hal Jordan in general is like, I mean, oh, it's like it's gonna be Parallax. Don't you know about the comics, bro? It's like, yeah, like Parallax was infecting his psyche that made him older.
Silence comic fan. Guy who Googled how Jordan Parallax is talking.
Uh, that's a great meme. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Oh man, DC is really interesting, man. And then people, and then the yeah, it's also interesting too. Like now it's like we're in the day of social media, so everything gets like reacted to, even like fake scoops. So I do find that kind of wild though. It's like, wow, now we know this part of the casting process has happened. Now the actors are going to go through like testing chemistry with Kyle Chandler. And all that stuff. It's like, wow, we just like know this information now, uh, via Twitter.
Like,
It's just
well,
it's kind of crazy to me.
I don't know how accurate they want to make um, John Stewart to the DCU version. He better stay away from Isabel Merced.
Yes, yeah, and people have not realized that Kendris is not Shira Hall, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Yeah, but I agree.
Hmm.
Uh, Man, I just don't like, how are they gonna do Vixen? That's what I'm curious about.
Vixen, you said?
Yes.
I
If you remember CW Vixen,
uh
she's definitely not
yeah,
dark.
there were two of them. I remember.
There were two of them, and I don't think either of them were dark skin. Not,
No,
not mistaken. Uh, Halle Berry Storm is like the obvious one.
the Alexandra Ship and the prequel movies too.
Yeah, that's only because like they already committed to Halle Berry. Can't really do anything now. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
true.
Makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I yeah, come on, like Vixen's got to be dark skin. Like let's not
I
kid
guess we'll
ourselves.
see.
Let's have to wait and see. Um, um, yeah. So this is more discussion of. It's kind of hard to like further the conversation about Superman and Lois in particular because like I don't think that the plots are like complex or anything like that to require too much discussion. It is kind
Mhm.
of also because like you have to kind of factor in like what has it been building up from season one to now. So it's definitely satisfying in that sense so far. Um, but obviously, it's like I'm not gonna break down all four seasons and how we got here in that regard. So, and then obviously, it's still like two episodes, not too much to really react on. Uh, I mean, there is the Penguin, but let's save the Penguin for another time. It is very good still.
It's still good though. Yeah.
Yes. Um, I've stopped watching Agatha.
What? How could you stop watching the best Marvel show?
Oh my god, they revealed that Teen is actually Wiccan. Who could have
Whoa!
who could have seen that coming?
What a crazy twist.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Is there anything
they
else?
haven't revealed the other. They haven't revealed the other spoiler yet that got leaked, but well, it'll come soon. I'm guessing
What episode is it on now?
5.
5. Yeah.
So I don't get how it happened. He's supposed to have this hex thing on him, but then all of a sudden at the end of the episode, Agatha's just like, "Oh, you're just like your mom," and then he puts them all in quicksand.
Yeah. Just like your mom, not Jewish. Interesting. Uh but yes. I am a my other thing too is like the DCAU is really going to be a lot of a blueprint for DCU. That's again like if it's like Batman has like pretty well reception, I would say, in terms of that universe. But like the other characters are just really not like that. If you go back and like look at comics and then you look at the DCAU again, yeah, they're a lot of them are either like bare minimum or they get the general idea. I mean, some of them get like a dedicated episode related to their character where they're the central character of the episode, but you know, not really much going on there. Um it is difficult. It is difficult to really break that down. I always thought like I definitely think Earth's Mightiest Heroes is like a better show overall in terms of like respecting their characters and who they are from comics and in like as like this as its universe kind of thing. You've watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
It does have the best wasp. Yeah.
It has the best wasp. It's unfortunate that it canceled.
Yeah, because it's fucking brand synergy. You gotta put out Avengers Assemble.
God, all these like things like really tarnishing the Inhumans. But like, there's plenty of other bad stuff about it too. To be fair,
They got hated there.
yeah. So we got another 20 minutes. Let's see if we can milk it further. Anything else from DC? I know Absolute Batman just came out.
Oh yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I've seen people have liked it.
I've seen a lot of people say they like it. I know, like, one thing AGD is a little bit worried about is like people would really like Absolute Wonder Woman to the point where prefer her to be that and not mainline Wonder Woman. But it's really interesting to me that like we're in this era now, like where there's so much love for like Ultimates Spider-Man, for example, to the point where it's like, who the fuck cares about 616 Peter Parker?
True.
Are you keeping up with that stuff?
Sometimes I should just drop it altogether, but I don't know why I don't.
What about the Ultimates version?
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
That and the Ultimates. I haven't read Ultimate Black Panther or X-Men.
Yeah. I think like what I heard about the absolute version of DC is like it's actually in an image like that Dark Side imagines
Yeah.
for that particular universe. But like it's interesting that like the characters are still like heroic despite under the guise of a villain. I guess like Ultimates kind of has that for Marvel, like it's under the guise of the Maker.
The Maker.
Yeah. I don't. I guess my thing about Spider-Man in general is like I feel like Spider-Man it's so easy that like now we're just kind of applauding for what it's supposed to be. Like what they're supposed to do. Oh my god, him and MJ are together. Let's clap. That's like the bare minimum now. I sure, but like there's definitely some fun stuff about those two, especially now that it's like taken seriously. They have kids, all this stuff. But it's interesting. It's interesting. All it takes is like one decent Elseworld thing, and now people are interested again. But it's not your mainline version; it's an Elseworld version.
Yep. Is the new Ultimate Black Panther to T'Challa? Because with the treatment he's been having, I wonder if it's him.
That is a good question. Ultimate Black Panther. I see that he had like connections with Moon Knight. Let me see. That's actually pretty interesting. It's a reimagined of still T'Challa.
Okay, well, yeah, that might be the best treatment T'Challa's been having recently.
Yeah, I see that they just kind of combined T'Challa and Moon Knight a lot. Yeah, because like Ra and Khonshu, the Egyptian gods. Interesting.
That's
Okoye is his queen. Hmm.
okay.
Um,
Does
it
she
does.
say her
It
famous
does.
line? What are those?
Uh, so some of the reviews say like it does make radical reinventions of the comics, but it does have a lot of strong influences of the Black Panther movie, both in the chosen cast and the visual appearance. Um,
Hmm.
that's already been done in Black Panther comics, so it's not really new to that idea.
Oh, we're in synergy. We love it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know. Black Panther has always had like has been very very weird, especially as of post uh Chadwick Boseman's passing.
Yeah. When the old cartoon one gets resurrected from the dead to be in X-Men 97.
Bro, I just that's like that's one of the dumbest things. Like you really did not have to name drop the character. You didn't have to tell me that
No.
Captain America was Steve Rogers. You didn't have to tell me Iron Man was Tony Stark.
Tony
But
Stark, but the
you had to tell me that Black Panther was T'Chaka. Why? What did that gain doing that? God, it's so annoying.
I don't know. They seem to really think that it'd be offensive to put T'Challa in things now.
Yeah, and like that's something like the sex offender was saying about it wasn't his call for making T'Challa not be the Black Panther. It was T'Chaka. Like it suggests that Marvel was the one who made that suggestion. He never really went in depth with that because he's too busy showing his photos to other people.
Hmm.
Uh, it's crazy how
Saying you want the truth, pay for my OnlyFans. That's what a normal person would do.
it's like, dude, you're gonna try to tell me that you didn't harass people with your pictures. Like you put it all over Twitter, bro, with us. I'm like scrolling through, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden I see his picture because like he's trending because of X-Men, but like so his name is just gonna pop up a lot. So then you get like you're scrolling, and then you just get hit with like that kind of photo. It's really annoying. It's like Russian roulette. Uh and then, I don't know how season 2 is gonna go. I'm not I mean, I haven't really kept it a secret. I did not like X-Men 97. Um
my opinion of it has gone down.
yeah.
I really liked it when it came out, but then it's like, wait, I don't know about this.
Then it keeps adding the list.
Yeah,
Um, but hey, I mean, Cyclops is cool again, so that's it.
that is the thing, at least. Yeah, and we had the short but sweet time of the Goblin Queen. She will be missed.
God, like, dude, that should be an entire season, man. Like, that's kind of this is the big issue about like the big issue about the show is like it wants to be like the previous show used to be episodic in terms of its arcs and like in terms of its stuff. Sometimes it spans over 2 to 3 parts, but there's relatively
Four in
like
the case of the Phoenix Saga.
yes. So there's generally like a thing that can keep things contained in its own story, but it's still like relatively cohesive in that sense. But when it comes to 97, they obviously wanted to be more mainline, where they streamlined in terms of like this. It's one story throughout all episodes, and that could be fine. But then it's like, but you still treat it like the episodic show of the '92 era, where like you want to do the Goblin Queen arc, but you also want to do Age of Apocalypse. You want to do like this,
Magneto.
like where Magneto's in charge of the X-Men. You want to include Rogue and Magneto for some fucking reason.
Ugh.
God, there's a reason why that was at Elseworld, not mainline, because I would assassinate her character if it was mainline Rogue. But yeah, that's just But yeah, there's so many issues on that front. I'm like very worried about what the direction is, because like now they go blast into like different time zones, and like now Rogue has to be with Magneto again when everybody's separated this time. I mean, at least Cyclops and Jean are together. But Rogue and Magneto, that's red flags. But yeah, and I guess I kind of talk about a little bit about my thoughts on X-Men. I know like there's been like a lot of like, what would you want to do if you put the X-Men in the MCU? I would say you have to reboot the universe. The X-Men are just too important for who they are and what they mean to Marvel Comics, that like I don't think there's any feasible way that you can introduce mutants into the Earth and like people would be fine with that. Because like the whole premise of mutants in general is that they're born with those powers, the homo superior, compared to everybody else. So it's like, that's kind of like the point. So, and I know like people are talking about, oh, why don't you just make the blip where everybody who came back, they're mutants now? I wouldn't like that. I don't
That's
think that makes
weird.
sense. Like 50% of the
Why
planet being
would people?
is crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, more like, I find that very weird. Like, like people coming back, it changed their genes. For some reason, I don't know.
Remember that
I
theory
think
that
that'd be
like,
weird. 50%.
remember that theory that like it was cancer that she got like that Jane Foster got cancer because of the blip. That
Wait,
was like
that was the thing.
that was originally a rumor that people thought was real. And it was like, dude, if you're gonna say she got cancer because of the blip,
Whew.
50% of the world getting cancer is
Whew.
crazy.
That would be, yeah.
Oh no, thankfully they didn't say that. The
It's
cancer's just
yeah,
normal.
yeah.
You don't have to explain cancer, bro. Like I don't.
Spider-Man, the cancer arc.
Oh my god. It's really funny.
Mr. Stark, I would feel so good.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, if I've also seen people say like, oh, like why don't like I hope the next X-Men team has like it starts off with like Rogue and Gambit on the team and all that stuff. I get why, but like at the same time, Gambit and Rogue are very interesting characters because they used to be bad guys and then they became good guys down the line. And I feel like just putting them on the team because you like them is cool, but I feel like the cool part is seeing how do they redeem themselves from being bad guys. Like Gambit was a part of the Thieves Guild. Rogue used to be a part of the Brotherhood, along with her mother.
Yeah, you'd get to see her join Captain Marvel. People were like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like, and then I've also seen like, oh, like I really wanted to focus on the OG5. You know, that's not gonna happen. I would like that too, but realistically I don't see that happening. Like Beast, Iceman, Angel, Jean, and
Jean and Cyclops.
Cyclops, yeah. And then Xavier. Weirdo Xavier.
Yeah, I actually love Jean. Huh?
Yes. And then I can't wait for Jean to tell Iceman that he's gay. You can't be
Oh
bi.
no.
You have to be gay.
No, 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 no. Don't do that. Don't bring that in.
Oh my god. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, I don't really see that happening. I think the I think that I think the '80s era is just way too popular. Um, the ones that include Wolverine and Storm and Rogue and uh,
With the
Gam.
80s or the 90s era?
I think it was late '80s, early '90s, around that time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Um, it's like, but the other thing too is like the mutants in general is like they all have like interesting stories to them. That is kind of it's really hard to figure out how to like really balance a cinematic universe and like try to pay respect to like some of these characters with such big histories. Uh, like Storm was a part of like she was from from a family in America. They go to Africa. Um, but then like her parents get killed due to like a plane crashing into their home. And this is where she had like her intense fear of claustrophobia because she was pinned down under the plane and
Never.
rubble for days. And then she had to like she couldn't go home. She didn't have money, so she had to live the streets and like pickpocket. And eventually, she got into contact with Charles Xavier.
Yeah, and then she met Apocalypse. Oh, wait, wrong continuity.
Wrong continuity. Yeah, so like
What are
there's a
you
lot of
doing? Learning.
uh you also got the Shadow King, not played by Aubrey Plaza.
Mhm.
I don't know if you knew that in Legion,
Yeah,
Plaza played a girl version of Shadow King. They do bring in the male version down the line. It's just an alter. It's okay, the show, but it does do this
haven't
weird.
seen it.
It does do this weird time reboot by the end of it. So
Okay. Is it supposed to be in canon with the X-Men films?
I don't think so. It does have a Charles Xavier in the show.
Is it
No, none of those
uh
two. Not those two.
okay.
Uh, I know, like for the Gifted, the one, how Unity talks about Emma Dumont's Polaris all the time.
Mhm.
Um, that one, they say that it's set. It's because of like how Days of Future Past like kind of altered the timeline. So that was like the Gifted's way of saying, okay, it's set in that altered timeline. That's kind of like the extent that they go with that.
Okay.
Yeah. But the X-Men universe overall is kind of like inconsistent with itself, even including
Oh
Logan.
yeah.
And now Deadpool and Wolverine brings Logan into it, which doesn't help it actually. Um, yeah, it's a weird franchise overall. Um, but yeah, I do see like like with mutants, I always find it like kind of difficult to figure out how you can like really balance like all those characters, and then like you also have like other Marvel characters, the Avengers, the Inhumans. You have Cosmic Marvel. You got plenty of like factions that you can like focus on. Um, and obviously that just takes a lot of planning too. Um, but it's always interesting that kind of discussion. I find. Um, I will say like DC does have like James Gunn, and James Gunn is like a comic guy, but I still like am not fully on board yet. I still have to see what is going to happen with his DCU to at least get some concrete thoughts. I'm just like, for Green Lanterns in particular, I haven't had any confidence because, like, out of all the uh, projects, he doesn't talk about Green Lantern comics that he'd recommend for understanding the show or anything. Then you have Tom King is the writer.
I don't even know what the hell willpower is. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, and you also got the worst season writer of True Detective, season 4. Then you also got the Watchmen writer, the TV show Watchmen writer, so another bad writer. Yeah,
Weird signs.
yeah, it's like going over 20 is kind of crazy. But we'll have to wait and see. So that was a bunch of topics, plus Superman Lois. And I'm enjoying the show. I think it's pretty good. I don't really have too much to say due to it being just the first 2 episodes. But we know this is going to be the last season of Superman Lois, so I can also feel a bit like hopefully it just sticks the landing. That
I hope so too.
Yeah, it just needs to stick the landing. We really need to bring back the last seasons are going off with a bang because we've just had too many bad show finales. So yeah. So thanks again, Operation, for being a guest here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah. And we will see you next time. Subscribe to another Reviews Corp podcast. Subscribe to Unity Review and Analysis. Subscribe to Red Devilosa Reviews. Check out our Spotify. Links in the description down below. And we will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.